everybody. Riding home from North Carolina, excuse me, the North Georgia mountains. Ended up over in Suchus after my ride, and here I am back on Highway 19400, headed back to Atlanta before the traffic gets too bad. It's a Friday, so it'll start pretty quick. But thought I'd tell you, I mentioned in a vlog about a cat I had named Arrow. Well, I want to tell you about two more I had. These are the two cats that I'm convinced were trying to kill me. Not through any meanness on their part, but just through circumstance. Now, at the same time that I had Arrow, the Siamese, I had a little mutt cat who I called Bernie. Now, Bernie was a blue kitty with a white chin and little white feet. And he was part Persian because he was very fluffy. He's not as fluffy as a Persian, but he was pretty close. Arrow, on the other hand, the Siamese, was short-haired. And she wasn't fluffy at all. Anyway, Bernie was an extremely loving cat. He was a boy cat. Once he was neutered, we had to neuter him. Once he was neutered, he was just the sweetest cat you'd ever want to have. He came, sat with me all the time, looking at me and asking me why. He did. I don't know if he did or not. I think he was happy to lose them, to be honest with you. Didn't have to mess with all the other cats in the neighborhood anymore. Didn't have to fight. And he was not a big cat. He was a medium to small cat. But again, he was a great cat. Had him when I had the other. But the way he would try to kill me was, I may not have mentioned before, but I'm allergic to cats. Now, I'm not deathly allergic. I don't walk into a room with a cat and immediately break out in hives. But what happens is, if I touch a cat, and then without washing my hands, if I touch my eyes, around my eyes or my nose, or, you know, rub my eyes or anything like that, I will my nose will start getting stuffed up, and my eyes will start itching and burning, and I'll start coughing a little bit. Now, that's as bad as it gets. It doesn't get any worse than that. I don't go into anaphylactic shock or anything like that. But what would happen is, I'd be asleep, and old Bernie would jump up on the bed and come up, and he would lay across my throat. Oh, I just hit the camera, sorry. He would lay across my throat with his head and front feet on one shoulder and his tail and his back feet on another. And his old fluffy body would be covering my nose and mouth. And I'd be trying to breathe through that fur. Now, a lot of times I didn't wake up when he would do this. And he was very warm, and, you know, I mean, it felt good. But after a while, I'd be so plugged up I couldn't breathe through my nose at all. And I'm not breathing much through my mouth because he's laying over me, and I'd wake up choking and have to and say, "Get off me, boy," and go wash my face. And sometime I'd take a Benadryl if I had any, and you know, wait a little while, and everything would go away. And so had Bernie a long time. He passed away. Unfortunately, he was killed by a dog about a year before Arrow died, and so I lost him first, but I really missed him. He was the sweetest cat I ever had, the closest cat I ever had to a dog, in that he didn't act like a cat. He always acted friendly, glad to see me, would always come over to play, never crapped in the tub or did anything to show his disapproval with me. He was a great cat. I really miss him. Years go by. I'm now divorced. My son is out of the house finally. My daughter, who's much older, she's been out of the house, and she thinks that it would be a good idea for me now to have a cat again. At this point, I don't have any pets because I don't want any. But she brings over this cat. His name is Jasper. Great name for a cat, by the way. And Jasper is 100% white Persian cat. He's got fur on him this long. And I tell my daughter, I said, "You're trying to kill me, aren't you?" And she said, "No, he's not like Bernie was. He's a scaredy cat. I bet you won't even see him for a month." And you know, she was right. She brought him over and let him go, and he immediately ran through the house, and I don't know where he went. He ended up somewhere. But I set out a litter box and set out food and water for him. And I would get up in the mornings and the food would be gone and the litter box would be used. And so I knew he was doing okay. Finally, literally after about a month or so, he wouldn't run away when he saw me when I would come home from work or when I'd get up in the morning and see him in the kitchen. And he would just stand there. And after a while, I was slowly able to ease my way over and pet him a little bit, and he liked that. He got to where he would trust me enough, he'd roll over on his back, you know how cats do, and they'd want you to rub his stomach, and then they would pretend like they didn't want you to, and they would grab you with all 4 feet and bite onto your hand, you know, kind of gentle. And he was a good cat, and I really enjoyed him. But flash forward a year or two, and I've met my now wife again, who I hadn't seen in 35 years. And she stayed up visiting me, and we're grown up, so, and never mind. Anyway, she wakes me up one morning and says, "You need to get rid of the cat." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, when you're down in Atlanta visiting me, you're perfectly healthy, nothing at all wrong. But when I'm up here visiting you, you can barely breathe at night. Your chest is full, your nose is stopped up, you're coughing and hacking in your sleep." And I said, "I am." And she said, "Yes, you are." And I said, "Well, I don't do it at work." And she said, "Well, duh, there's a reason." And she said, she pointed at the bedspread and the chair, and they said, "See that white fur?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And she said, "That's what it is." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yep." So, unfortunately, I had to give up Jasper. I gave him back to my daughter. He lives with her still, with the other cats. It took him a month to get used to her again. And whenever I go over there, he won't come out and see me. He doesn't remember me anymore, but that was Jasper. So Bernie and Jasper, the two cats that tried to kill me. I think I'll tell you another time about the dogs I had. Had some pretty good dogs too. Okay. Well, oh, by the way, right at the moment, I am pet-free and like it that way. No pets make it so easy for me to travel. I don't have to get somebody to look after anybody. We do have a community cat here in Atlanta. Everybody calls him something different. My wife and I call him Sam Cat. Is really, I guess, the lady who's really his owner across the street calls him Dingleberry. And, or I think it's Dingleberry. Anyway, something like that. Everybody calls him something different. And we play with him. We don't feed him, but we play with him when he comes by. He's a real friendly cat too. Anyway, that's it. I'll be home in a little bit, about 25 more miles to go to get to the house. And the traffic's going to be starting. And it's going to get way too noisy for you to hear anything on here. All right, well, everybody have a great day. And take care. Bye-bye.